Let me see my
Marvin, I
person.
wonder if you might just elaborate just a little bit on the sense of isolation and loneliness that was predated the pandemic. I mean, I think most people have begun to understand what's happened during the pandemic, but I just wonder if you might just sort of talk a little bit about that.
That is
And I'm
great. I'm
sure that
so
all
glad.
of us in one way or another have felt isolated, even in the midst of having a fully staffed office. But I'm just wondering if you might want to just share a little bit more about that.
I'm so glad you asked that question because yes, that is important. In fact, one of my good friends before he passed away wrote this book. This is a book by John Cassiopo, and Dr. Cassiopo was the leading expert, an American expert on loneliness for years out of the University of Chicago. His book, Loneliness, chronicles and details the actual human uh, fundamental problem with loneliness. And it's been something that the Western countries, and I'm talking about UK and America, have been at the top of the world's experience in this. Loneliness is a recipe for bad health outcomes and finally, death. It starts to affect us first emotionally, then it begins to affect us physically, and then we die. It is important that we must recognize that human beings are social in nature. One of my other great books that I tend to share with people all the time, this one's by Danny Goleman, who's the founder of the notion, I guess the largest proponent of this notion of emotional intelligence. This book, Social Intelligence, reminds us that it's critically important that we consider one another always, everywhere, all the time. We cannot continue to look past people and how people are experiencing everything and hope to get more out of people. That's just a problem. That's bad social and emotional intelligence, which if you guys want to get into that, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But tremendous thing, just I hope I understand it. Loneliness is a serious issue. Isolation is a serious issue. When people are feeling misunderstood, when they're feeling, for years and years and years that they don't belong, when they don't feel like they can connect to people around them or the world around them, especially in the workplace where they spend 10 to 12 hours a day, and they feeling disconnected and undervalued, and that they're not doing things doing something that has meaning and substance, they're going to feel lonely. And over the years, that's going to create trauma in their mental health capacity, their physical health capacity, and then finally in their world and everything around them. Now, here's the thing. Lonely people, isolated people cannot perform well. It is literally impossible for someone to be suffering emotional, mental health outcomes and still perform at the top level of their ability to perform. And so we want more performance from people who already had enough. They've already experienced enough. And so we ask that from them. And then we throw COVID and throw the pandemic on top of it. And boom, you have a powder keg where double the numbers of resignations are happening on a monthly basis than have ever happened before in American labor statistic history.